Hello everyone, welcome back to Study Room. So in this video, we are going to start with the topic of solar system. So we are going to learn all about the solar system, its constituents like the planet, the sun and the moon. So without wasting time, let's begin. What is solar system? The sun and the celestial bodies which revolve around it form the solar system. So the sun is in the between and there are celestial bodies which revolve around the sun. Here you can see in the picture. Correct? It consists of large number of bodies such as planets, comets, asteroids and meteors. So there are 8 planets and there are also other bodies present in the solar system. Correct? Now, how do planets and other objects revolve around the sun? The gravitational attraction, the gravitational pull between the sun and the objects keeps them revolving around them. So if this is the sun, then there is some kind of gravitational pull around in between the sun and these objects. That's why they revolve around the sun. Correct? Let's move on. Now there are 8 planets that revolve around the sun. Their order of distance from the sun are Mercury. Mercury is the closest to the sun. It has the least orbit, right? Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. So Neptune is the farthest away from the sun. Let's have a look at this video. There are 2 categories of planets. Firstly, there are terrestrial planets and then others are Jovian planets. So these are the properties of the terrestrial planets. There are first 4 are known as the terrestrial planets. Then firstly comes the Mercury. Mercury is the smallest planet and it is the closest to the Earth. It is the closest to the sun. Then comes Venus, which is the hottest planet. It has an atmosphere of carbon dioxide. Then moving on, we have the Earth, which is our planet. Earth has water, which makes life exist on Earth, right? Then comes the Mars. Mars has an icy surface. Then moving on, we have the Jovian planets, which consists of Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Correct? So Saturn and Jupiter are known as gas giants, while Uranus and Neptune are known as icy giants. Correct? Here you can see its properties. Then all these planets have multiple moons. They have many moons. Jupiter is the largest planet in the solar system. Then comes the Saturn. Saturn has a ring as it is shown. Correct? The ring has a distance of certain kilometers. Then comes the Uranus and the Neptune, which are very far from the sun. So let's move on now. Till 2006, there were 9 planets in the solar system. In 2006, the International Astronomical Union adopted a new definition of planet, and unfortunately, Pluto didn't fall in this definition. So it is no longer a planet of the solar system, right? So we have only 8 planets now. The sun is the nearest star from us. It is continuously emitting huge amounts of heat and light. The sun is the source of almost all energy on the earth. In fact, the sun is the main source of heat and light for all the planets. Right? Now, can you distinguish between planets and stars? So, what happens is that planets look like stars, but they do not have the light of their own. They merely reflect the sunlight which falls on them. The simplest method of identifying planets from stars is that stars twinkle, while planets do not. If you look in the night sky, you will see that stars must be twinkling. while if you see a planet like Venus, it won't twinkle. All the other planets keep changing their position with respect to the stars. Okay? Now, what is orbit? A planet has a definite path in which it revolves around the sun. Here you can see. Here you can see the Earth's orbit, right? It has a definite path for revolving around the sun. The planets do not collide while revolving around the sun because they move in their own orbits, right? Now, period of revolution. What is exactly the period of revolution? The time taken by a planet to complete one revolution is called its period of revolution. The period of revolution increases as the distance of the planet from the sun increases. Correct? Because the size of the orbit and the radius of the orbit also increase. So that's the reason. Besides revolving around the sun, a planet also rotates on its axis like a top. So there is a rotation and then a revolution around the sun. So the planet always rotates on its axis and then it revolves around the sun as well. So the time taken by a planet to complete one rotation is called a period of rotation. Right? Now, what are satellites? Any celestial body revolving around another celestial body is called its satellite. Some planets are known to have moons or satellites revolving around them. So, moon is a natural satellite, correct? Satellites of the Earth. Moon is a natural satellite of the Earth. There are many man made satellites revolving around the Earth. Those are known as artificial satellites, correct? Now, Aryabhatta. Who was Aryabhatta? He was a great astrologer. He was studying astronomy, he was a master of astronomy. So, the work of Aryabhatta on astronomy can be found in his writing Aryabhatya. His estimate about the sidereal period of Earth was 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 4.1 second, which is very close to the presently known value. Presently, the value is 24 hours, correct? He also gave the diameter of Earth and the distance between the Earth and the Moon, which are very close to the known values today. There were many other Indian philosophers. There were many other astrologers in India as well, but the most famous is Aryabhatta. Now, lunar eclipse. What exactly is a lunar eclipse? When the shadow of the earth falls on the moon, it causes a lunar eclipse. The earth is between the sun and the moon, and the shadow of earth falls on the moon. So then moon is not visible because the sunlight from the sun doesn't reach the moon because of the earth. Correct? Now, solar eclipse. What is solar eclipse? When the shadow of the moon falls on the earth, it is called as solar eclipse. Right? So, here you can see that moon is in between the earth and the sun, and because of the shadow of moon falling on the earth, it causes a solar eclipse. Now, in this video, you can see a lunar eclipse. So the shadow of Earth will be falling on the moon. So there are three types of lunar eclipse. Firstly, there is total lunar eclipse, as it is visible in the video. The whole moon gets covered by the shadow of the Earth. Right? And there is partial lunar eclipse as well. It is partially covered by Earth. Here you can see in the video. Then there is penumbral lunar eclipse, where the intensity of the moon decreases. Right? So now moving on, this is the video for solar eclipse. What happens in solar eclipse, that the moon is in between the earth and the sun, and the shadow of the moon falls on the earth. You all must have definitely experienced solar eclipse. So on some part of the earth, the shadow of the moon falls. It gets darker because the sunlight doesn't reach the earth. So as you can see in the video, this is partial eclipse and this is annular eclipse. These are the different types of eclipses, and this is hybrid eclipse. Both the cases are seen in this kind of eclipse. So now let's move on. Now let's see what is Mercury. Let's see in detail about Mercury. The planet Mercury is nearest to the sun. This is the planet nearest to the sun. It is the smallest planet of our solar system. Because Mercury is very close to the sun, it is very difficult to observe it, as most of the time it is hidden in the glare of the sun. Mercury has no satellite of its own, right? How Mercury can be observed? Mercury can be observed just before the sunrise or just after sunset near the horizon, as shown in the picture. Here, a tiny little dot will be seen. So it is visible only at places where trees or buildings do not obstruct the view of the horizon, right? So this was all for this video. In the next video, we'll learn more about the solar system. That is, we'll start with the solar system part 2. Till then, thank you and see you next time.